That's on my side. She's on my side. Okay. Ooh. Hopefully you can hear me. I was supposed to take this mic out so that way I can hold it in my hand, but I forgot. Hold on. It's been a while since I, It's been a while since I recorded a video, and it's honestly because a lot has happened this past month that left me in a space where, what did I do? That just left me in a space where I felt like I couldn't fully produce and fully. I'm so sorry. I have to get this before I lose the pieces of my mic. Then I'll be so sad. Yeah. So yeah, a lot has happened this past month, and I'm not really ready to share that. So that's gonna be something that I will have to not internalize, but create space for myself to figure out. But yeah, I just haven't felt okay, I guess, to sit and actually record. So just, taking it one step at a time. And I was kind of thinking about this too as I was also going through my podcast page, I guess. And I realized that I tend to, and there's nothing good or bad about this, just what I observe, when life throws me a curveball, I often take time and I pause whatever I'm doing, and I was sitting and thinking if that does me more harm than good. And I think I made a video that was supposed to post, I think 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about how when things happen in my life, it's a very cyclical cycle where it's I feel sad, something happens, I feel sad, but then how did I phrase it? Dang. Something happens, I feel sad, but then I don't record or create, then I feel sad again, and it's a very cyclical thing. And I'm wondering if there is, I guess, a better way to go through, and process when life throws me a curveball, but also create, because creating is I use my voice to speak on the things that I go through, and oftentimes it feels heavy for me to go through something and then sit and then talk about something. So I'm just trying to figure out the most healthiest way to still walk in my purpose and in my passion and in what makes me happy, but also knowing how to I guess keep those boundaries, because what I would love to talk about has a lot to do with what happened, but at the same time it's that is so heavy that I don't want it to be, oh, I'm trauma dumping, So I'm still trying to figure out that healthy thing. But yeah, this past month, I just kind of realized how important it is to stand on what you say you're gonna do. So if you say, oh, I'm not talking to that person anymore, please don't talk to that person anymore. There's a reason why. And yeah, probably I'll just put a little pin in that for now. Another thing that I was kind of thinking about is the ways in which sex changes after having an abortion. And it's crazy because the partner the person that I was with, he was the only person that I was sleeping with after my abortion, before I got pregnant, when I was pregnant. And after everything happened, I was like, I just kind of don't feel like being touched by anybody else, or being in such a vulnerable position with somebody else. And I remember like kind of telling my friends that, maybe I just told my journal, can't remember, that my views on sex has just changed. Like who I give that energy to and who I share that space with has become very like strict. And it was kind of echoed recently through an experience that I had, and I was like, halfway through I was like, yeah, I think you should leave, because I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling ready to have that type of relationship with anybody. And also just like realizing how precious, and not to like toot my own horn, but also to toot my own horn, how precious and sacred and special and tender and warm and loving my energy is, and just like how many people want to be in that. And it's just like, girl, not everybody's meant to have a taste. Not everybody's meant to and by rights, because not everybody has that privilege, but the ones I allow to come in, there has to just be more of a vetting, because after that experience, which was like Friday gone, I was like, we have to be a little strict around here, stricter around here. And also kind of just listening to myself too, because in my head I was like, okay, I'm ready to like try, I'm ready to put myself out there in that regard. And then when it happened, I was like, yeah, I'm not ready for that as yet. I'm not ready to have just casual sex with anyone. And it's just kind of crazy how the things that I never really thought about being affected by having an abortion are things that now I'm just like, okay. Like I remember I talked about dating and how dating has changed, and like what I look for in a person has now changed drastically. But I never really thought about the ways in which intimacy and sex has also changed as well. I just feel as though I don't just want to be touched by any and everybody. Like I want there to be some type of foundation, some type of like, oh, I like you and you like me, and I feel safe with you and you feel safe with me. Just have fun, and also not like feeling rushed, I guess. I don't know. I don't think rushed is the word I want to use. Yeah. Another thing I was thinking about, so like these are just like random thoughts that I had in my mind. I'm so sorry. It's me from the future, near future, coming back to just kind of clarify a little bit, because I feel as though I didn't really explain fully what I meant by the reason in which sex has changed. So right now, it just feels like I have walls up, and these walls are in some way, shape, or form preventing me from being intimate with just any and everybody. And that's what I was referring to, like being strict around here, because I just don't see myself being someone who just like casually has sex with any and everybody. Tried it. That's what happened on Friday, and I was just like, this doesn't feel safe for me. I'm not safe in the sense of like physically safe, but safe in the sense of how I want to be held. Like how does my soul want to feel? How does my soul want to feel? And how does my soul want to be held? Because I can be held physically, like I can do that. But to me, I think it has become more of a soul experience than a physical experience. Because I have seen firsthand the soul ties that can be created through sex, and that is really not something to play with. So yeah, it has just changed a lot, and just kind of wanting to feel safe and wanting to feel seen, because I do come with baggage, I do come with things that require tender love and care from myself and from the person who I'm with. And yeah, I think that's like one of my requirements. And not to say like you have to, I don't want to say this. I think, wow, okay. It has become one of my requirements to feel held in that regard, like to have understanding of what I've been through, because then it would allow for patience, and it would allow for space, patience from the person's side, patience from my side, and just space to like pause if I need to, collect myself if I need to, stop if I need to, and yeah, just being tender, just being very tender with it, because it's no longer a physical activity, it's a soul activity. So if I can feel safe in that regard and feel held, it becomes more enjoyable for me now. And just like asking myself, who do I want in that soul space, yeah. So sex has just become this next level type of thing for me. And I think too, and this may be just like something for me to figure out, but trying to figure out what like enjoyment looks like in that regard, like what turns me on, what keeps me turned on, because it's not the same as what it used to be. So y'all are knowing all my business, man, all my business. That's brazy. That's brazy. But yeah, that's my truth, and I'm gonna stick beside it. So yeah, I've been trying to figure that out in terms of yeah. I'm not gonna say in terms of so I've just been realizing sex has changed a lot for me. Okay, back to the video. Another thing I was thinking about as I was talking to my friend Angie today was grief and how, okay, so the reason why I was thinking about it is because I want to start back hosting again and facilitating conversations. And the first topic that I would really love to delve more into is grief. And it's really because after going through what I've gone through, I realized there's not really intentional spaces for us to sit and talk about grief, which is very strange because to me, grief is inevitable. Grieving is inevitable, whether we're grieving a version of ourselves or need a burp. Excuse me. Or grieving somebody who has transitioned, or grieving a loss of a job, a child, all these certain things. Like, I feel as though every day there is, every day there's something that we grieve, whether that's us missing a train, missing something, losing something. And I don't think I will ever share the recordings that I recorded during when I had my abortions, because I have not listened to it since I was in that moment. And I just remember I was crying so much, and in those moments where I just couldn't see my way, I was like, damn, I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to face grief alone. I don't want to think about this alone. And that's when I started reaching out to people who have had an abortion, and I realized, like, there's so many of us going through this, but because of whatever reason, we aren't able to sit and have a conversation around this one thing. So yeah, then I was like, you know what, I wanna do that again. I wanna, one, host again, and also two, create a space for us to talk about grief, because in one way, shape, form, or other, is that how it goes? In one form or another, one way or another, we have grieved something, and there is so much power in coming together and talking about that. There's a friend of mine, Gabby. I think she reached out to me a few months ago, and she said, I may not understand your grief, and your grief is your unique journey, but I can empathize from my point of view, because I'm also grieving. She lost her mom a few years ago, and just by her saying that, like, she sees me in my grief, and in return I also see her in her grief. Because I remember when her mom passed away, I was like, I don't know if I can ever, like, have the capacity to go through that. But now, being a mom who lost her children, it's like I see Gabby's strength. I see what it took for her to be back on her 2 feet. I see what it takes, I see. And I think that's what it's all about too, just kind of like seeing people during their grief, and like not turning a blind eye. I remember I was talking to someone, I was telling them like what I've been going through, and they gave me a very like passive answer that just made me feel like I don't want to share. It made me feel not seen and not heard. And then I kind of sat with that. I journaled, I think, like a few days ago, and I was like, I wonder if it's their fault or if it's just not having proper language to walk with someone in their grief journey. And I think that's what it is too. And I want to reference this short excerpt that I read think it's by Audre Lorde. Let me see if I could find it. Please bear with me. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's called The Transformation of Silence into Language and Action. And if I can remember what I read, maybe this is not where I got it from. I think this is just like what got me into thinking about actually it's like speaking, but my thought nonetheless, which I would just say you should read that article. It was really good, very insightful. What I want to say, not referencing her article, is I feel as though language is so important. Not just like language, like what's coming out of my mouth right now, but the words that we use around a certain concept and the ways in which I want to say understand, but that's not what I really want to say. How I want to put this into words. So what I'm thinking about is, okay, so I'll just use grief as an example and hopefully I can like flesh this out as best as I can. But there's this concept of grief. And I love this song. With this concept of grief comes language, language that I think is often privy to those who have had first-hand experience with grief. Whether that's like talking about the isolation, talking about the change of identity, talking about how your movement through life changes, how you view relationship changes. Like there's things in grief that can be understood with those who have gone through grief, and that forms a language, whether that's like a spoken language, a non-verbal language, but there's like this understanding. And what I would love to create is a space where that language can be shared through people who haven't felt grief intensely or intimately, because I feel like once we have that language of grief, we're able to sit with someone in their grief and not give passive responses or like, oh damn, I'm so sorry that happened, being more intentional with the ways in which we talk about grief. So yeah, that's just like what I am hoping to achieve with this event that I'm, fingers crossed, within a month or so, once I can save up enough to like rent a space. But yeah, I've been thinking about a lot. But that has been like, those thoughts have like been on my mind. Yeah. And just now that I'm thinking to another thing that I want to share too, it's just like how much I love my friends. I spent the whole day today talking to some of my friends, and I don't know, I've been in a season of isolation just because like what happened a few weeks ago kind of had me in a very it had me down, but it also had me very isolated, and I just didn't find myself really reaching out to people. I was just going to work, coming back, sleeping, coming to work, sleeping, going to work, sleeping. And just like taking that time to sit and talk to my friends, just kind of like it brought back life into me, and it brought back like, being able to have my cup filled and fill my friends' cups, and just like, I don't know, this new job that I have to, I'm just kind of realizing how blessed I am in terms of my friends. But that's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, I'm just eternally grateful for my friends and like for their presence in my life and for seeing them chase their dreams, and yeah, just realizing how blessed I am to have these people around me. But yeah, that's all I have for today. I would probably, hopefully, start back posting again, because I got two new subscribers. Who is she? And that makes me happy. So it's, slowly but surely, I will move on up in terms of being, more consistent, more, not allowing things in life to really like knock me down, to the point where I can't sit and do the things that I love, because then I just feel more miserable, and I don't want to feel more miserable because, have somebody else. But yeah, thank you for sitting down and listening to me talk and just share my thoughts. But yeah, peace.